I'm standing here with the new festival director, Mrs. Leena Pasanen. Nice to meet you, and thank you for having us.
Nice to meet you, Leena.
Okay. Well, our first question is that you have been living in Leipzig for nearly 1 year now. Did you feel welcome, and have you maybe already found a favorite place here?
I felt very welcome. I actually knew the city quite well before I moved in, but I mainly knew it from the winter time when the festival takes place. So it's been a wonderful summer. I was so happy to see how warm and green Leipzig is. And I love the inner city. I find it really beautiful, but I also love the outskirts with the parks and the lake. And of course, I have a horse in the countryside, so that's my favorite place where to go every evening or early in the mornings.
Well, as a new festival director, you brought many new changes. I think the biggest change was creating a combined competition between animation and documentary films. Could you explain us why? What was the reason behind that?
I think there are two main reasons. One of them is that I didn't want to have two separate festivals, and having animation screens so separately, it was almost like having two festivals within one. So that was one thing that we wanted to change. The other thing is that I think that the whole way of making films and developing storytelling is going to the direction where you are much more open to use different type of tools and ways to put your story together. And I think that animation has been becoming more and more important element in filmmaking and in documentary filmmaking too. So we just don't want to have any borders. We just want to see where new talented people are taking us and give the same space for all of them.
Another new thing was DOK Neuland. It's an interactive program. Maybe you could tell the viewers what's the new thing about it and how it works. So,
I think it is a Neuland to all of us in a way. Still, we see how interactive works are changing storytelling and how the audience is having new habits and new ways of enjoying films and any kind of audiovisual content nowadays. So we just want to see what's going on. What are the latest trends? So we decided to select a number of interactive projects and works that are somehow influencing on how stories will be enjoyed in the future.
Okay. And we as a group thought that it's really important to increase the interest of teenagers for documentary films. Have you any ideas how you would do that, and maybe how are you doing it?
I think, the teenagers, well, many of them are already filmmakers and many of them will be the future talents also for this festival. So I'm even more interested seeing what you guys are doing than sort of showing something to you that you should see and learn. Of course, we have kids' docs and we have a lot of documentaries that are suitable for young audience, and we also have this body check, which is also sort of interactive work. So you are one of our target audiences. But personally, I'm keeping my eyes and ears open to see what you guys are doing, because it's quite likely that you are so much more native in this interactive world and new ways of storytelling that it's actually us learning from you and not the other way around.
Okay, maybe you could think about yourself in the age of 16 right now. Had you interest in documentaries, and maybe could you think about the first documentary film that left an impression on you?
To be honest, I had absolutely no interest in documentary films at the age of 16. I think that I had a lot of interest in horses, friends, fiction films, but not necessarily documentaries. Documentaries came to my life much, much later. When I was already working as a journalist. So I started as a journalist in film business, and I was doing news and reportages and all sort of things. And documentaries came to me a little bit as an accident, like sometimes happens. But I must say I fell in love with them immediately. I can't remember really what was the first film that I sort of thought that, wow, there were many of them at the same time, but it was probably a very personal story made somewhere on the other side of the world, and yet it touched me, and that really showed me the power of a story, that it takes us to a world that we never knew before, but it can still give us things that we can totally identify with people.
Okay, so as you said, we have many documentaries, and even this festival has more than 300, I think. Do you have any movie recommendations for people in our age which we should definitely see?
This is a tricky question. I can't remember the titles of the kid docs. Can I have the catalog? Oh, Baby, for sure. That's something that could be interesting for you.
Okay, so maybe we'll get to our last question. It's a real tricky question. You have to answer is, which popcorn do you like best, salty or sweet?
Always salty. I'm a savory girl.
Okay, a salty person. No, well, now our interview is sadly finished. Thank you for it, and have a great festival week.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed too.